A warm welcome to you all. We are here today to paint this dainty home in a quaint little fishing community in Arneston, in South Africa. I was inspired by the contrasting colors of the clothes against the white of the house and the turquoise water. I hope you enjoy this as much as I loved creating this tutorial for you. I'm Prakrathi Shenoy, an artist and art educator. You can find me on social media on the handles mentioned here. If you like what and how I teach, you can check out my website for more tutorials mentioned here. Let's start. These are the materials that we'll be needing to complete this painting. We'll be needing a book of 200 GSM or above, any pencil to sketch, masking tape, some flat filbert and round brushes. You can skip the filbert brush, water, tissue paper, and finally gouache paints. These are the colors that are included in this particular set. This set consists of 18 colors, as you can see. These vibrant colors are from HIMI-MIYA and they are available at Thoovi Arts. This is the sketch. You can pause the video and draw the sketch, or take a screenshot and sketch at your leisure. Before we begin, I want you to know that whatever colors are available in this pack are now available in this upgraded pack. So it's all the same colors, just the package is new. So feel free to use either one or whichever you have. These amazing colors are once again from HIMI-MIYA, and once again they are available on Thoovi Arts. I'm also using this palette from HIMI-MIYA. You can take any flat palette you like, and this is our reference picture. So let's begin. Let's start with ultramarine blue for the sky. I'm taking quite a good amount of ultramarine blue on my palette and taking white. I'm mixing both the colors. I'm using filbert brush here, but you feel free to use a flat brush as well. And we'll give a flat wash to the sky. Since there is not going to be any clouds, I'm going to give a thick layer of this blue shade. Go for as light as possible, but not so faint that later on the white house is not visible. So we need the white house to stand against this blue color. Also, don't make it very dark because it's not a cloudy sky, it's a summery sky, and there's going to be shadow of the cloth falling on the ground as well, which means it's quite bright. The house is white in color, hence I'm going to clean all the edges. We don't want any other color seeping into this part. Let's work on the beautiful turquoise water that is there here. For this, I'm going to take jade green. You can also use viridian hue or deep green or whatever darker green shade you have. And I'm going to mix some white into it. And this is the shade that I'm going to go for the water of the beach. I'm also going to mix a little bit more white. I feel that it's not bright enough, so I'm going to add a bit of acid blue. It would probably be light blue, sky blue, or cerulean blue in your set if you're not using the same set. And mix them all together and start giving an application. You can give quite a thick application here. We will be adding white waves over this, so it can become mixed. So it's a medium consistency at this point. Take some ultramarine blue and add some color here on the edge to show the horizon line, and blend everything so that it all looks smooth. Next, we'll take directly some jade green or the darker green that we have, and we'll create some wave formation as shown. Next, we'll take some white and add tone at the edge of the water as shown. I'm just adding some zigzag lines here. Add some receding white lines as shown from the waves. This is just the first layer. Hence, I've used just white. I'm not gone with titanium white, so which is kind of a transparent. This white is kind of transparent, and we'll keep the titanium white for the end. So I'm just extending the waves and adjusting its formation and how peak it looks. Taking more white and adding the foam on each of the waves. So don't add just a line, create some shaky lines so that it looks like there's a lot of force in this wave, and this foam has some structure. And I'm also adding some different patterns here in the forefront to create the receding foam. We have kept the pace of the video to a normal so that you don't have to rush and keep going back. I have only sped up those parts that are repetitive so as to not to bore you. Now I'm adding some more white sparkles at the extreme edge near the horizon. Mark some foam coming downwards to show the curling of the wave, and then add some darker parts right below this to create the shadow effect. I have used jade green to create the shadow below the waves. Let's start painting the house. For this, I've taken a lot of white and mixed it with tiny amount of ultramarine blue. So we want to make it look white at this point, but we cannot use white because we need white for highlight. So white has to always be used in the end, at the last, to create highlights. If you're painting something white, then we usually use either grays or blues to depict the white. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going with a very pale blue here to create the white, and I've gone with even more lighter shade on the front facade of this house. Remember to add some white on the edges as well. Next, I'm taking some earth yellow or yellow ochre and add some white to it, and I'm adding some pattern here. So we are creating some the texture and feel of the house so that it looks old and weathered for the because it is very close to the sea. And we are adding the same color to all the sand that is surrounding around this home as well. Next, I'm taking burnt umber. We all know blue plus brown gives us a nice gray, so I had this white and blue mixture. I added burnt umber to it to create a gray. Now I'm adding this to some edge of the sand and to the edge of the house, and also to this wall that is there near the house. Next, I'm taking more ultramarine blue and adding it to burnt umber to create a darker gray, and then I'm going to add white to it to create a light gray. I feel that the gray that is there near the sand is too dark, so I'm going to lighten it slightly. So that's where I'm going with gray. If you're not comfortable mixing with this gray, you can definitely use black and white, but I like the gray that I get by mixing browns and blues. So I'm using this gray to also create more texture and withered look on the wall. So I think this looks better, so I'm going with my fingers. I'm taking some paint on my finger and rubbing it on the wall so that it looks more natural. I'm blending the sand and the gray color that we had created. Next, we'll mix more earth yellow and white, or yellow ochre and white, and we'll create the stone that is there in this wall. So these are the stones that are embedded between all the cementing, and I'm going to place them in different shapes and sizes so that it looks more vintage and crude. Mixing much darker gray than I had used earlier, so I've taken more burnt umber and blue and less of white, and we are painting them around the stone structure that we painted just now. Take some lighter gray that we had mixed earlier and then add it on the top part. I think the light is falling from here, so this part seems to be lighter as compared to the lower part, hence I'm making the top part lighter. Now the topmost part or the edge of this wall seems to have a lot of sunlight and it's quite white, so I've applied just a white line. I'm reapplying the shades of all the stones because it was not looking bright enough, and I'm once again going around this stone so that it all looks like one wall and does not look like the stone is falling separate. So I've taken a darker brown and a darker gray, and I'm adding the shadows here for the cement that is come on top and in between and below the wall, the crevices between the wall and the sand, So all these areas I've darkened, and now I'm merging the stones and the cement so it all looks like one smooth structure. Next, I'm taking grass green and I'm taking some medium yellow and also some black. Now, if you don't have medium yellow, you can take chrome yellow or golden yellow or anything that is dark. And first, I'm going to mix black and green and create the shadow or the darkest part of the grasses and creating grass texture as shown. Next, I'm going to mix some yellow and the grass green. You can take any green. You can also take olive green or sap green and mix some yellow into it, and then add to the rest of the area that is there beyond the sand. You can see I'm creating variations in the grass here. I'm adding yellow in some places, dyed green and then a darker green in some places. And then I'm taking the darkest green and adding more grass at the edge of this land mass that is there. Make sure you're adding the grass in different direction. I'm also taking a lighter green or a yellowish green here to add it right below the grass, and then I'm taking the sand color to merge everything together so it doesn't look separate. So we want it all to look like one thing. Next, I'm taking some burnt sienna and adding some dried grass here and there and some dry structure, dry leaves or foliage that is there. You can definitely skip this step. I'm adding more darker green grasses here at the edge to show the proper grass texture here, and I'm adding a bit of foliage here right near the wall of the house. We'll take a medium grey, which is a mixture of not too much black and white, or you can use the same grey that you used for the house and the wall, and use less white and create the cracks on the pavement. And I'm also adding some shadows on the window using the same grey shade. Now I'm using a very dark grey to create shadow of the roof on the house. Next, take the pale blue that we created for the wall and merge these two shadow colors so that it looks seamless. Next, I'm taking a mixture of burnt umber and little bit of black. If you find your burnt umber is dark enough, you don't need to mix black. You can directly use burnt umber. And this is for the roof. And now I'm taking a mixture of more black and less burnt umber to create the edge of the roof. You can also use just black because we need this area to be very dark compared to the whole of the roof. And then I'm taking a mixture of burnt sienna and white, or you can use any light brown or beige shade to create the edge of the roof, and some more markings here using a grey shade. So I'm deepening the shadow of the roof here, just like we did earlier. Mix some white and any brown, maybe burnt sienna or burnt umber. Let it be very light though, and add the color for the poles here. These are the poles that are supporting the clothes line. And I'm going to take some black and add some texture over this wood. A white line for the highlight on the edge. Similarly, we'll repeat this step for the other pole as well. Take some black plus green mixture to create grass below this pole. And next I'm going to take burnt sienna and add it to the window frames here. Next I'm making a mixture of jade green and tiny amount of black for the window panes. Use a darker shade of grey to create shadows on the top part of the window as shown, and use the same dark grey to create more cracks on the facade of this cottage. Mark the edge of the window with the same dark color, but make sure you're not reaching right to the bottom. We don't want it to look like a cartoon thing. And also I've darkened the shadows more. Next I've taken grass green and added it completely as a flat color to this shirt. Next I'm mixing some black and grass green to create the shadows for the shirt. blending it so it looks like smooth folds on the cloth. So make sure you don't have very sharp edges, especially if the area is in between the cloth, not on the edge. Then taking some medium yellow and adding it to the label of the shirt and the collar. Next, I've taken more ultramarine blue plus white and adding it to the towel here. We will use black plus ultramarine blue and tiny amount of white for the shadow part, or where there is not enough sunlight reaching on the edges and where the cloth has folded due to the wind. Then make sure you're blending everything, especially in between where there is fold in the cloth. And I'm adding some white for the highlight. I'm adding more black to the darker mixture to create shadows. This set does not have an orange color, so I'm going to mix an orange color by taking vermeil, or you can take scarlet or any lighter red, and mix it with the yellow that I have on the palette, which is a medium yellow. And then I'm adding on the edge of the collar, so to create a nice shadow and highlight effect. Next, I'm going to take ultramarine blue and add it to black. So this is like, we are going to create a lot of this mixture. I'm also going to add some white to this. You can either add white, or if you have the black and the white and blue mixture, you can directly apply that to black. So this I'm applying to the pant that is flying in the wind here. So I felt that it's too dark, so I added more white to this. So you can adjust, since it's gouache, you can feel free to adjust it at any point. I'm adding the darker shade of the same shade that we mixed to create all the folds and the pockets and all the wrinkles that are there due to the clothespin. I have added more black to create more deeper shadows for this cloth. We are coming to the last cloth on the cloth line. So we'll use this vermeil that I have on the palette for this cloth. It's a red shirt or some red cloth. And I'm going to mix some black into this red to create the darker shades for all the underlying cloth or the shadow part of this cloth. I'm reapplying the red color to make it look smooth, and also I'm adding more black here to make it more deeper. It was not looking very bright earlier, and I'm adding more grass texture like this. So take a separated bristle brush and add grass marks like this. Add some dry grass using yellow ochre or yellow, and then some greener shades to create that contrasting effect here. Moving on, we'll create some foliage here. There seems to be some bushy foliage in the reference picture. So I've taken black for the base, and I've also added black here to create all the different texture on the roof. I have taken black and green mixture to create some more grass between the pavement and near the house, and adding some dots with that as well, and then pressing with a tissue to create a very subdued effect here. And I'm also adding some dots in burnt umber to create some effects on the sand. Next, I'm going to mix more black and green. It's more green and less of black to create the next shade in this foliage, and I'm adding leaves as shown. Next, take some black or burnt umber and mix it into earth yellow or any dark yellow, and create all the branches here of this growth that is there, and add fine branches to it. Add white to the same mixture to create some highlights, and I'm adding more branches here. You can add more leaves with grass green or a mixture of black and grass green. I'm adding some more leaves here so that it looks like it's coming over the wall. And now I'm going to mix some yellow and green to create the highlight leaves here. Coming to the last part, which is the highlight. For this, I'm taking titanium white and I'm adding all the edges with this white so that it looks more shiny and looks like there's more sunlight that is falling here. So these are the edges where I'm going to add more white. You also need to add white over the cracks that we had painted so that it looks like the plaster is peeling off. If you find this section to be very fast, you can use the settings in the YouTube and to slow down the video to your preferred setting. This section is more about your preferred taste, about your adjusting, like where you want it to look, you want to have more contrast, where you want it to look more light, more dark, add more textures or create more, finishing touches to your painting. So this is what it's about. It's more of a personal choice. So feel free to create how you want all the textures and everything. We'll add some shadows of the cloth here. So I've taken a darker gray and I felt that it was too dark, and then I added some white to it. So we are adding more darker green to the parts where it is on the grass, and more darker gray where it is where the shadow is on the pavement, and I've added more black to the green for the shadow. I've taken white and created more starker labels and this cloth line. Make sure it is going into the foliage here, the end is not properly visible. I've taken black and created some more highlights on this line here, and I've taken yellow ochre to create the cloth pin and added a black line to show the shadow of this cloth pin. I'm adding more lighter leaves here. I've added it more like yellow and less green to create more contrast here, and also adding more grass green to make the bush slightly bigger. And I felt that this wall is too light, so I've taken more burnt umber and re-adding some more shades here. I mixed black and burnt umber to create the crevices and deeper shadows on the wall here. Make sure to merge and mix everything so that everything looks normal. We are done with the painting. Let's remove the tape and see how it looks. I hope you enjoyed painting this one. To get your own set of beautiful gouache paints, you can use my code Prakrathi to get 13% off, and this is your final painting. All the best for the contest. I'll be waiting to see your entries. Until next time, bye bye.